Hey, it's Mel. Welcome to a Creep Week video. During the month of October, every week I'll be posting a creepy video, hence the name Creep Week. Today's video is about a female serial killer who turned her victims into soap and tea cakes. Yeah, it's a mess, literally. As a warning, don't eat food before or after this video. You're just not going to want to do that. And second of all, as a disclaimer and a warning to my viewers, at the very start of it, I am briefly going to be mentioning attempted suicide and rape, since those two topics do relate to Leonarda's life. If you don't want to touch on those topics if they're triggering to you or upsetting, that is understandable. You can simply skip a minute of the video or you cannot watch this video. With that out of the way, let's get into today's video about Leonarda Cianciulli. I'm just going to be referring to her as Leonarda because it's easier. She was born in Montella, Italy, and she sadly was the product of rape. Her mother, Amelia di Nolfi, was raped by a man called Mariano Cianciulli. Once Amelia fell pregnant and her family found out, they forced her to marry her own rapist, Mariano, which, that is messed up. Once Mariano and Amelia got married, Amelia's mental health just went down the drain. There is a plane flying over my house, can you hear it? Leonarda was born in 1893 on the 18th of April. However, some sources say that she was born in November 1894. Leonarda lived in a poverty area and was emotionally abused as a young child by her mother because Leonarda was a constant reminder of the rape that her mum had gone through. Leonarda, at a young age as a child, attempted to commit suicide on 2 occasions because of the abuse she was struggling with from her mum. She lost her dad at a young age. He died. Leonarda, as a teen, went to see a fortune teller who told her that she would soon marry and have kids. However, all of her children would die before her. In 1914, when Leonarda was just age 12, she married a registry office clerk named Raffaele Pansardi. However, her parents did not agree with this marriage, as they already had an arranged marriage set up for their daughter. Me personally, I don't believe that arranged marriages should even exist. Anyway, Leonarda's parents were pissed off. They didn't want her marrying Raffaele, but she said F you and basically married Raffaele. Leonarda's mum was beyond livid, and it's said that Leonarda's mum put a curse on both Raffaele and Leonarda. And ever since that day, Leonarda did believe that her and her now husband were cursed. In 1921, the couple moved to Raffaele's hometown, Lauria in Potenza, where Leonarda ended up getting imprisoned for fraud in 1921. After her release, the couple moved to Lacedonia, Avellino. Right from their marriage, the couple had money problems, and Leonarda, once she moved to Lacedonia, Avellino, she ended up getting pregnant 17 times, having 3 miscarriages, and only 4 of her children survived. 10 of her children died young before her. On another occasion, Leonarda ended up visiting another fortune teller who said, quote, "In your right hand I see prison, in your left a criminal asylum," end quote. It wasn't a good situation. Things were just not going well for Leonarda. In 1930, Leonarda and Raffaele home was destroyed by an earthquake, so they ended up once again moving to a town called Correggio. In this town, Leonarda decided to open up a small soap shop. This is where shit hits the fan, okay? When Leonarda opened this soap shop, she gained a lot of money and supported her family, and Leonarda was described by her neighbours as a very friendly woman, and she was well respected. Her soap shop began to get very popular. Now her favourite child was her oldest son named Giuseppe. Giuseppe planned to join the army in 1939. Leonarda was worried of losing her son, so she ended up praying for her son. At this point, we're all like, okay, she's praying for her son's safety. What could go wrong? You know, everything seems fine. It's about to get messy. Not only did Leonarda pray for her son, but that's when she decided, to ensure my son's safety, let me just turn to human sacrifices, because that's always a good idea. I agree with the praying part. I don't agree with the human sacrifices. Turns out that Leonarda during this time was actually a fortune teller herself, and later on she would end up claiming 3 victims. All of her victims were her customers. Her first victim was a spinster named Faustina Setti, who asked for Leonarda's help to find her a husband. Leonarda told Faustina of a suitable man in Pula. Leonarda also told Faustina to not tell anyone of this match, and she also told Faustina that once she got to Pula to meet her man, to then send letters to her friends and family. On the day that Faustina was supposed to go to Pula, she came by Leonarda's shop to say goodbye, and Leonarda offered her some wine. However, Faustina had no idea that this wine was drugged. Once Faustina drank this wine, she fell unconscious. Warning here, what I'm about to describe is very graphic in detail and it's a mess, so if you don't want to hear about the graphic detail, there's no point of you watching this video, because in order for me to explain how a victim was turned into soap or tea cake, I have to go into graphic detail, so just bear that in mind. Once Faustina fell unconscious, Leonarda murdered Faustina with an axe, then pulled her body into a closet in her shop, and then fast forward a few hours later on in the day, Leonarda dismembered Faustina's body into 9 pieces. Leonarda also put Faustina's blood in a basin, which is basically a wash bowl similar to a sink. Leonarda then proceeded to put Faustina's body parts into a pot and put 7 kilos of caustic soda and stirred this mixture until it was dark, thick and mushy. I'm not even trying to be disgusting, that's what it says. Leonarda ended up disposing of Faustina's body by putting it into 7 buckets and disposing of it in a septic tank. This is messed up. Leonarda then proceeded to use Faustina's blood in tea cakes. Like, she mixed the blood into tea cakes. And what's worse is that Leonarda sold these tea cakes to her customers and just her neighbours. Crazy bitch. So just imagine, she's just stood outside of a shop selling tea cakes. You want one? They're lovely. Got tea cakes there? Tea cake banner. They had no idea what they were eating. And what's worse is that she also gave these tea cakes to her family, including her son Giuseppe, and Leonarda also ate them herself. So technically, she's also a cannibal. According to some sources, Leonarda collected Faustina's life savings for her services, which was roughly around £30,000. Leonarda's second victim was Francesca Soavi. Leonarda had claimed to found Francesca a job at an all-girls school in Piacenza. Francesca was persuaded by Leonarda to write a letter to her friends and family from the town of Corrego. Francesca met up with Leonarda one last time before leaving to her trip to say goodbye. Just like Leonarda's first victim, Leonarda offered Francesca some wine, which was drugged. Once Francesca drank this wine, she obviously fell unconscious, and Leonarda then proceeded to murder Francesca with an axe on the 5th of September 1940. Her body was dismembered, and Leonarda got £3,000 from Francesca's death. Leonarda's last victim was a former opera singer named Virginia Cassioppo. Leonarda also claimed to have found Virginia a job as a secretary in Florence. Leonarda told Virginia to not tell anyone of this job opportunity or where she was going. On the 30th of September 1940, Virginia also went to say goodbye to Leonarda before she left for her trip. However, this time Virginia said her goodbyes to Leonarda at Leonarda's house. Much like the other victims, Virginia was drugged with wine, and once Virginia fell unconscious, Leonarda then proceeded to murder Virginia, most likely with an axe, and Virginia's body was dismembered. Once her body was dismembered, it was put into a pot. However, Virginia's body was made into bars of soap, which were sold at Leonarda's shop, and people bought that soap. To make Virginia's body into a bar of soap, Leonarda literally melted Virginia's body and mixed in a bottle of collagen. Leonarda also gave these bars of soap to her neighbours. From Virginia's death, Leonarda collected up to 50,000 and bought some jewels apparently. Leonarda would also sell her victims' clothes and shoes. Virginia's sister-in-law grew suspicious that Virginia had just suddenly disappeared off the face of the earth. She last saw Virginia at Leonarda's house. She ended up reporting this to the police. The police opened an investigation and took Leonarda in for questioning. Now, at first, Leonarda did not confess, but when the police insinuated that her son Giuseppe might have been involved, she confessed to everything. She didn't want her son going to prison. Leonarda's trial began in 1946. Leonarda was found guilty of all 3 murders and sentenced to 30 years in prison and 3 years in a woman's criminal asylum. Leonarda died of a brain hemorrhage on the 15th of October 1970 at age 77. The pots that she used on her victims are currently displayed at the Criminological Museum in Rome. You can go to this museum and see the pots that she used on her victims. No thanks, I'm not here for that. As to what happened to Leonarda's son Giuseppe after her arrest and death, I don't know. I searched so much to find out what happened, what was the conclusion of her son. I couldn't find a single thing. But he is dead. I mean, this happened a while ago. My conclusion is that she enjoyed killing, okay? This wasn't just some spiritual thing. Like, you know what? Instead of praying for my son, I'm also going to have some human sacrifices. That's going to help a lot. If she's truly, like, trying to protect her son, she wouldn't have turned to human sacrifices, you know? I don't understand her mindset. As someone who is interested in criminal psychology, I don't want to get inside her head. But anyway, that is the very, very, very messed up story of this crazy woman who decided to turn her victims into tea cakes and soap. Once the newspaper caught a whiff of this story and exposed her, about those people who used that soap that thought never gonna feel clean again, because you know what? I'd feel the same if I found that out. No, just no. I was gonna have lunch after this video, but I think I'll just skip lunch. I'll see you very soon. Take care, wear your masks, be safe. I'm sure we're all wishing for 2020 to just piss off, you know? Bye, take care.